minutes. Okay, cool.
Oh, I can send you a link.
Right, cool.
I'll put it on Google Drive.
How many of you guys have used Spline? Hands. Front row, 1, 2. Hey. Just come in. Just come in.
No, I've been here.
I didn't say hi to you last night.
Oh, I come in just before this one.
It's like, hey. Okay, only 30 minutes, sorry. Okay, what is Spline? Why use 3D at all? You may have guessed from that Spline is used for 3D rendering. What is Spline and why is it different? How do you use it? How much does it cost? I had too much coffee earlier and Quanta quest is how much does it cost in Spanish? Resources! Okay, let's go. Oh no! Oh, here we go. Okay, the big takeaway that I want you to have, if you remember nothing else, I want you to remember this, that 3D is not as hard to create as you think. It is genuinely so accessible, it's a joke. It is a joke, people.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm on the call.
Especially if you're talking hourly.
No, but I have said to people, like, have you heard of the Spline? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, well, you should check it out. And I have actually lost jobs recently. What is Spline then? So Spline is a really, really interesting platform. It's basically a browser-based 3D tool. So if you've used Cinema 4D or Blender or other things, obviously those are amazing to do really complex things, but they're not necessarily made with the web in mind as much. So this platform was created in 2021. Cinema 4D was in 1990. Blender was in 94.
Wow.
So this tool is, very much forward-thinking in the sense that it's meant to be for the web. But you can do all sorts of other stuff with it, which I'm about to show you. Okay, so some big high-level things is that it's collaborative. So in various different platforms, Figma, etc., you can log in. Various people can use it at the same time. You can do that in Spline. You can do loads of interactive stuff, so you can actually put these renders inside apps, websites, whatever. Mouse cursor hover. You can do loads of cool stuff with 3D. It's a no-code tool, which is ideal. If you've used 3GS, WebGL, you'll know the pain that you can have in those types of platforms, whereas Spline is pretty cool to just take the stress away. And obviously it's browser-based, so it doesn't slow down your laptop too much if you've got a little laptop like mine. Who am I to tell you anything about 3D or Spline just generally? Just for a little bit of context, worked at Crafter Studios, working for this guy called Dexter Washington. He's a great guy.
Love Dex.
Yeah, great guy. I learned a lot from him. Then I started this podcast called Webflail. Thank you. A bit late on the uptake. That's fine. I've interviewed some of you on here. Come on. And then worked for Edgar Allan, doing more of their marketing, and they had a tool called Slater, which some of you might have used. But it's basically like prompt-based code that it spits out and it hosts code and stuff. So that was really interesting to get a sense of like how accessible it is to create code, even as someone that's a no-coder. And then I worked for this studio called Macu Studio, which was great fun with a guy called Arnell Ross, who you guys might have seen on YouTube kicking around. He does loads of tutorials, learned loads about YouTube and stuff from him. During this time though, I was like, okay, 3D is really cool, but the agencies that I was working for at the time didn't really do 3D, didn't really know that much about it, and weren't really that interested in exploring it, to be honest. So I made a couple of websites for clients and got into Spline, which were fun, but I didn't really dig in. And then I did this thing where I did like a daily challenge. So I interviewed a few people on Webflail that did these daily challenges, and they were like raving about how powerful these daily challenges were to meet loads of people, explore different design styles, and just really kind of like get into something and make it a daily habit. And so I did that and kind of really got into Spline and realized that it was something that I wanted to focus on a lot more. So I reached out to a few different agency owners, and forget the top line, I don't know why I put that in, but I don't know what Hal and I were talking about at the time. But anyway, I said, would you be interested in doing 3D on the website? And he said, what kind of projects are requiring Spline 3D we've never seen that one yet. And I was like, fuck, come on. This is like, I feel that 3D is kind of the future of web. So I really wanted to focus on it. But before we talk about Spline anymore, what I want to do is just zoom out a little bit and think about why even use 3D in the first place, because it shouldn't be used on every website. Like imagine going onto like Amazon and then just like there was this mad like 3D Jeff Bezos head. Like, that's quite a jarring experience, right? And obviously there's pros and cons to 3D just like there is to anything. But there's some really interesting websites that I think kind of show the benefits of 3D. So I'm not sure if you've seen this one. It's got like a load of traction online, but it's by this product designer called Zoe Tang. And she basically worked with Nike to basically create like a 3D render of their shoe. And as you scroll down the website, you get to like zoom in on different parts of the shoe and can see loads of interesting things. There's this really interesting website called Upfront, which have, and this is like the first e-commerce site, or like substantial e-commerce site that I've seen, that has a load of different products with 3D renders. So as you hover over the product, it like rotates so that you can actually read the label, see the size of the packaging, and kind of get a real sense of like what the product is that you're actually going to buy. There's this one by this incredible designer called Andrew Ubenhauser or something like that. He's an incredible designer based in the UK, but he does these quite interesting like marketing tactics where he'll just drop a crazy website and it will get loads of traction. But I think the reason why it gets...
I was just going to say, is he the one that did the banana thing?
Lemon? Was that
Lemon.
Yeah.
Sorry, not banana.
Yeah. He's got a crazy Lemon
Same
website. He's got quite an interesting like marketing style. He'll basically like make a landing page with this crazy 3D asset and it will get loads of traction and then he'll get work from it. But that's a kind of different presentation about how to get work as a Webflow client. This is a really good example of like, in my opinion, how you just want to scroll on the website. Like people will stay on the website a lot longer than they would otherwise. And obviously there's SEO kind of downfalls to having a 3D object, which might increase load time. But when people actually do land on the website, they stay on the website for longer. So there are like kind of pros and cons SEO wise. It's not as much like, oh, it's going to slow down my website and I don't want it for that reason. I think there's kind of pros and cons that are worth talking about. Improved storytelling and content creation. This is another one by Andrew. He basically made this like medical website which had like a really zoomed in, I don't know what that word is, but a kind of DNA strand. Strand? Yeah? Anyone clever as an arm? What was that?
Double helix.
Yes, double helix. Thank you. And then there's this really interesting website called Straightfire, which is like an NFT website. But I think what's quite cool about it is that they've like had a 3D element with their logo, and then that 3D aspect like runs throughout the website. And I definitely think from like a brand identity and recognition perspective, like I think it really lends itself across different platforms from video to 2D. So you're like, cool, Jack, this whole 3D thing is kind of interesting. Let's dive in and have a look at it. So what I'm going to do is try and do a demo, which could go horrifically wrong. But before I do that, just want to show you some of the things that you can do. So you can basically make different shapes, and if you embed these on your website, if you embed only one single element on your website, it won't slow it down significantly. And there's various things you can do to optimize it, but I think if you were to use Spline and after this talk, you'd be like, yeah, this is actually kind of cool. If you think of like one single element on your website as the main focus point of that landing page or that page on the website, then I think it's really effective, but it will slow down your site considerably if you're doing like multiple embeds on your website and have something that's super complex that may well be better to do in Blender or WebGL or 3GS.
Does Spline like lazy load?
Yes, you can. I mean, so I'll show you in a little bit, but what you can do is essentially do the embed on your Webflow website and then do the animations and stuff in there and actually determine like how you want the animation to perform and like when it loads. What I would say though is that a lot of people that use animations like this on their website have a preloader, so it obviously gives the page, the animation time to load, or the render, I should say, time to load. Cool. Okay, we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna show you how to do something which is pretty fucking wild in my head. Super, super fast. Okay, so this is a little guy that I made. And that's the end of the presentation. No, I'm joking. Okay, so this little dancing man, okay, you might think, oh, that would take you hours to do. It's actually not that hard, and it's so wild to me that you can do this so easily. Okay, so this website called Hyperhuman, right? So you can generate something by putting a prompt in, or you can upload an image. So what I did is when I upload an image, I typed in like minimalist, I think I typed in minimalist character. Okay, I get one of these people. I can't find the exact guy that I got. Sorry to whoever I just ripped off, but anyway, I got the character. Then I use this thing called Mixamo, right? Now in Mixamo, it's wild. You can basically put in your character. So wait, backtrack, I haven't explained this very well. Inside this, you upload a minimalist 2D object. You upload a picture, right? It will turn this into a 3D something or other, right? So it will generate an image. You can edit the image inside this model, right? You export this as an OBJ file, which is an object file. Then you go to this, right? Now, if you've got a person, there's all sorts of different presets that you can have. I can literally click on this, get a dancing guy. So just to be clear, I uploaded a man, like just a picture of a guy, made it into 3D using Hyperhuman. Then I go to Mixamo, free, this is all free. Then I get a dancing person or whatever.
Dan Foster, it looks like you.
Hold on!
on a good night out, that's you.
Yeah, slightly more hair, those are good. And then, okay, so we got our guy, and we basically tell Mixamo, we're like, okay, this is the right wrist, this is the left wrist, this is the groin, this is the head, this is the chin, whatever. And so it will track to these, right?
Jags. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. So are you doing the rigging up of the character in Mixamo? It doesn't do it automatically. You have to kind of pinpoint the joints and then.
So, yeah, I mean, I should have done this a bit better than I have. I mean, okay, let's try and do this just live and let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's get a minimalist character.
Do a book.
We need a person. That's the thing. Okay, let's get this guy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get man, and then I'm going to go to Mixamo. Right, I'm going to start again. So browse animations. I'm going to upload a character. I'm going to. Oh wait, I need to go back to here. Okay, let's get our guy from here. So let's go text input. Nope, it's an AVIF file.
No one believes this is real.
Oh.
Sorry guys, this is why I didn't want to do this live. Okay, let's try it again. Okay.
Surely you've got to pay for some AI credits or something?
Yeah.
Hey, do this once, you good, then you have to pay. But
There's a big subscribe on the top left-hand corner, I think.
Admittedly, I haven't paid for this stuff. You do need to pay if you do this too much, like the tool. Obviously, like if you use it loads, you need to pay.
And
like I pay for Spline, for example. You don't need to pay for Spline, but if you want to avoid the watermark, yeah, you do. You can be a bit hacky. I found you can get the constraints of a container.
Whoa.
Okay, so we've got a guy. Look at that. Okay, so then we can edit some stuff in here just for the sake of doing this quickly. I'm gonna get, let's say that guy. Okay, confirm. We're gonna generate our guy. We're gonna download the OBJ file and we're gonna upload it to Mixamo. Okay, you with me?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
How did you discover that Rodden thing?
The what? The Hyperhuman thing. Yeah, this thing is loads of YouTubers, like they'll basically be like, here's how I scan my head. So just to be clear, I scan my head.
Does it have like safety guardrails?
So this is my weird website where I have like, my head. Nice to meet you guys. That's my mum. Shout out, mum.
Responsive Simon.
Thank you very much. This has got good internet because it doesn't normally load that fast. Okay. So,
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, good.
That's using Rodin, your head bit in your logo.
So my head, I actually just took a picture. Okay, this is another thing that's going to wild you out. I've got time. Okay, so basically, let's go into. So we're in Spline now. I know I'm moving around kind of fast, but just go with me. Okay, so we're in Spline. This is what you get when you have a new file. Now inside Spline, you can do loads of stuff. You know, you can extrude objects. So you can do whatever. Like if you can imagine it, you can do it in this. It's pretty wild. You can let's show you something a bit more interesting. So if we get, let's say it's sphere. So this is a 3D object, right? These are both 3D. Let's get rid of that. Now, very, very fast, I can manipulate how this looks by basically adding layers. So if you use Photoshop, it's a very similar thing. You can basically change the textures and formats of the actual file very, very fast. So let's say we were to turn this down, so we've got a kind of textured element here. And then if we were to add map cap, this gives it like a load of light bouncing off it. And then if we were to move this below, then we've got this kind of textured object. Now, what's kind of powerful about Spline is that you can see how quickly we've done that. Now we've got directional light over here. So on the left, you've got your actual shapes. On the right, you can basically manipulate those shapes, right? It's like HTML, CSS. So if you were to delete the directional light, you actually haven't lost that lighting effect because we've added a matte cap, which is basically like, it looks like I've got this crazy like lighting effect happening. Actually, it's just a layer that I've added to our object, which comes automatically in Spline. Now what we can do is we can actually upload an image to this. Now I bought this crazy matte cap pack because I'm kind of obsessed with this stuff, as you can probably tell. And what you can do is you can add all sorts of different blend options. So I actually added 93 to all the Webflail, to my personal portfolio stuff. And as a result, I've got like a consistent brand identity across my whole website. So every single 3D object that I have on this site has that effect.
So that markup was 3.2 megabytes. Does that come through to your page then?
No. So, good question. Basically, if you've got a matcap object, it overlays over the top of that, and then when you export the file, you can actually see the file size here. Okay. So you see how it says optimizations can be made. You can run the test, and then you can essentially optimize that from there.
Nice.
So if you were to decrease the amount of lights that you were using, decrease the amount of polygons, so if you were to cut up this shape and make it into like loads of weird different textures, you would essentially be adding a lot more data to this, and it would mean that it would be slower to load on a website. But you can do various different things to actually like optimize your scene in Spline. So what's quite nice is, why is this closing? Run test.
Top right, is it?
There it is. So what you can do is you can actually, inside Spline, record a video. So let's say we wanted a 5-second video of this, right? And we wanted there to be like some kind of orb effect. Ooh, yay, fun. And then this is actually recording a video, an MP4 file. So what you can then do is actually put that on something like Webflow or some kind of, compress it, host it on something, and then put it in your website if you didn't necessarily want like mouse interactions with it. But you could actually still use that 3D asset, lighten the load massively, and use it as a video or export it as images and use it as GIFs. So on like scroll position, it can basically be a lot lighter. So there's loads of like things that you can do if you're looking at this and thinking, oh Jack, like this is actually like quite heavy. I don't want to put that on my website. there's things that you can do to optimize this, one, but two, you can actually change the format of the file to ensure that it loads a lot quicker.
Sorry, I'll leave my questions then.
Okay, we've got 10. 10 still? I swear I looked at that. Okay, fine, whatever. Okay, let's go back to our little man, shall we? Okay, we've got this guy, download. Okay, so we've got an OBJ file, and then we can upload this to this guy. Okay. Sorry, slightly delayed. Which one are we going to choose when we actually do get the file there? Should we get the capoeira? Which one?
The dancing guy.
Just the straight dancing. Where's that?
Yeah.
Primed. Rumba dancing? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah,
wrong.
Look at me go.
Yeah, he's got a little belly on him. Okay, where's my file? Is it downloaded yet? Okay, this is taking too long. I'm now going to download this file, okay? So this is downloading from Mixamo, right? Oh, I've finally got it. Okay, sack. We've got it. Now I'm going to go to Spline again, okay? So I'm going to open a new file. I'm going to import my 3D model, Roomba Dancer. And there he is, guys. We've got a little Roomba Dancer in the building. So now, you're like, cool, Jack. I don't really get why you've imported this into here. You wait, people. Okay, now, I can edit how this guy looks inside Spline. So, if I want it to be like a particular effect, I can do that. I can change the background. You can also export this without a background if you just want it to be like inside your Webflow website. I actually think that guy's a bit dark. Let's change that.
Okay, is there like some sort of timeline feature for the animation that you can sort of scrub through?
So since we've done the animations within this, no. I mean, you can change the animations. You can actually get him to dance a bit faster if you want a bit more enthusiastic dancing, Chris. Don't you worry yourself. We can put him into overdrive, and he will.
Again, Dan Foster.
He will rub his little socks off for you, Chris. So don't you worry yourself. But I mean, you can do a lot in Mixamo, but you can also do animations within Spline. So I've just shown you an example of like getting a character and importing stuff. You can obviously build stuff within this, and you can do animations within Spline itself. So let's say. We wanted, so you see on the top right here, you've got states. So let's say bottom state, you have, the circle here, and then top state, you have the circle here, and then you can basically have a transition between the two. So let's say, our little Roomba guy's dancing, but we want this circle to move at the same time. Have I done it?
Yeah, just
Very
slow.
slow.
It's going to be slow.
Okay, let's make that a little bit faster then. And actually, let's just do loop infinite, and we're going to do a ping pong, and let's just do 3 just to get. It's just going really slow, isn't it? But you get what I mean. You can do animations. We've got a little Roomba dancer. He's not in overdrive. He's just chilling right now. But you see what I mean. You can do some stuff pretty fast in here. Now, I'm not done. What you've got in here is AI style transfer. Now this is wild. Say we wanted our guy to look like a steampunk style, right? You can click that and it will actually generate a steampunk style of our guy. Whoop. Let's just click that again. Sorry, I think I messed it up. So that you've got an image that like just generates like that.
Can you see that in Roomba?
Okay, no. So what's annoying is that when you do...
Great question.
I've never been asked that one. What you can do is you can generate assets seriously fast if you've got the initial design within Spline. I know you can do this in Midjourney, and if you use Runway or any other AI tool, you'll know how powerful these tools are. So this might not impress you much, but considering this is all inside the one tool right now at this stage, I think it's quite impressive. So you're like, cool, Jack, how the hell do I use this on a website? Okay, so let's make this scene responsive. So now we've got a little guy, he's dancing away, he's pretty happy. Okay, and let's just make sure that that's in the middle. So what I'm going to do is add a camera and ensure that we've got our little guy dancing in the middle of the screen. That'll do. Okay, so play settings. What you can then do is you can actually take the production URL from here. That's copied. Let's just optimize the viewer to make sure it's the most recent version. And we're going to go to a Webflow project. Now this was one that I made with this bottle of olive oil. So I'm going to make it spin and do some fun stuff soon. But let's just start a new project so you can kind of see something fresh.
Is this like embedding an iframe?
Yeah, exactly. So you can do...
Testing his Webflow skills now.
Yeah, no, testing them live. Testing them live as well, that's going to be an issue. Okay, this was one I made earlier that I was going to show you, but I didn't think we've got time. But it's a bread website, very random. But the girl I'm dating, I wouldn't say girlfriend yet, but anyway. So this was like this mad bread website that I made, and I actually downloaded this asset. I didn't actually make it myself. I made it from this thing called Polycam. Another great resource if you want to download the wildest assets, which are quite lightweight as well. There's some pretty sketchy stuff on here, so but you can get some pretty interesting 3D models. You can actually make these yourself as well if you just use your phone and you just go around an object. So that's how all of these have been made. Someone's literally just got their phone and just walked around a bloke.
That's with like the LiDAR sensor in the phone?
Yeah, exactly. There's a few of these different tools around. There's one called Loom AI. This one's really impressive though. You need to clean up the file a bit because it can look, I mean, this guy's head, well maybe his head is actually like this.
Have you used image splats?
Yeah, like the Gaussian, they're wild.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Spline supports that recently, right? Yeah.
So these tools are like really, really new, and I do think like it's quite fun to play around with them, and they're not quite like where they will be in, I'm sure, like less than a year to be honest. But because looking at like Runway and stuff, I'm like, okay, this technology is there. But you can download these files and import them. So that's what I've done with this guy, with this loaf of bread. Okay, so let's just make a new page, and then where am I? Okay, so what I'm going to do is add a new page. We're getting broken into.
We have to finish shortly.
Okay, 2 minutes. This is a high stress situation. Okay, what I've done is I've got the Spline scene in here. I've literally added Spline natively in Webflow. You can now see in Rive. We're not talking about that today. Right, so Spline scene in there. You can make this, a little bit of flip steak. 100 viewport width, 100 viewport height, and bingo, we've got our dancing little man. Scrollable, inside your website, you can send this, this is on the staging link obviously, but the key thing to note though is that obviously when you're doing your design in Figma, you need to think, okay, how is this all gonna like play out in a mobile design, because one, it's going to take longer to load, two, obviously text is going to scroll over stuff, versus this where it's like, oh, this looks really fun, it goes to the right of the text. Well, yeah, cool, but on mobile, obviously that's not going to happen.
That was going to be my question actually, is how do you do that? Like I know Apple's websites on mobile or on slow page connections, they default back to like a slower experience.
Yeah, so you can do like various different things. You can actually disable the spline animation from happening on mobile. You can actually change the size of the animation on a mobile screen. So if you switch this toggle on, you can actually see what your animation is going to look like on different screen sizes. So as you can see, this isn't scaling right now at all. You can change the. Okay, well, I'm not going to do it now, but you can actually change the scaling by just adding different states. So you can scroll down to the bottom here. You sort of see it says screen resize, and then below 480, your animation will be, a smaller size. Spline, like if you embed stuff into Webflow, it's not as smooth an experience as I'd love it to be perfectly honest. Like there is a little bit of trying to like work out how the animation can sit exactly right, because when you actually do the animation within Webflow, say you had an animation that you wanted to do on scroll position, for example, like this, I've basically said I want the bread to go around the, so these are 100 viewport width, 100 viewport height sections, 100 viewport width, 100 viewport height, just to make the animation easy to manage. But that's obviously done, so that animation is actually done in Webflow, whereas you can do animations in Spline, but I'd recommend only doing animations in Spline if you've got a little man doing Roomba who's like always doing Roomba in his container.
Have you found it a little bit similar?
Guys, sorry to we've gone over time and we might get in trouble with security. But as Jimmy will mention, Jack's sticking around for an hour. Tops,
I'll be around.
And downstairs in the arcade, and so everyone's go down there. There might even be some free tokens. I'm not sure if we've got the free game tokens. Yes, I'm not going to be able to stick around, but hit Jack up with questions down there.
Sure.
Yeah. So